Question to ask you, Bookish Brits people. Do you feel that the mainstream media is failing children's books in general? Now, when I say children's books, I mean children's YA, and up to a certain point, let's say new adult. Although, that's a bit borderline in itself. But, let's talk about this. How do we feel about mainstream media such as TV, radio, newspapers, up to a point, let's say films as well, represent children's books and children's books in general. Now, there was an interesting report a while ago. I think it was a campaign. I think it started by SFZ, who thinks that more children's books should be, reported on in newspapers, and I thoroughly, utterly agree. This is something I've been talking about for a very long time. He did a post a while ago, and he found out that last year, in 1 month, in August, the national newspaper coverage of books, 3% of them were children and YA. 3%. How is that possible? How is it that 5-6 years ago, the book industry was failing, the sales were plummeting down, and only 2 areas were increasing, which were ebooks and young adult. That's the 2 areas that was increasing in sales and have increased in sales since 2010. So it baffles me that only 3% of newspaper reports were on children's books or coverage of children's books. And it's changed a lot because this year, the Fox and the Star won the Waterstones Award, and the Lie Tree won the Cosca Book Awards, Prize Awards. This is the second time in Cosca's Book Prize history that a children's book, it's young adult, hence quotations, has won the award. The only other time a children's book won the award was The Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman. Okay, let's get that rant out of the system. That's that way. And then, also at the same time, we have media outlets, news outlets saying, is this YA's shining moment? Have you not gone into a bookshop recently? Have you not gone into a bookshop for the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years? YA has been growing rapidly. And the fact of the matter is, media outlets are failing this. I know I feel like I'm ranting about this because this is something I'm hugely passionate about. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Let's get this started. National newspapers, 3%. That's not on. That is not on. The only real newspaper that really did this was The Independent. And a few weeks ago, The Independent and Independent on Sunday was sold to a company who are now going to make them an online newspaper. And the tabloid version of The Independent and The Eye was sold to another company. And The Eye has turned around and said that they will try their hardest to increase children's coverage. So, it's not that bad. But then you're looking at other newspapers going, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you covering children's reports and books and YA? And then it comes to radio. I love radio. Radio is one of my favourite. Well, I listen to a lot of it at work. Radio 2, to be precise. And they have the Radio 2 book club. Out of curiosity, I actually went on the website and looked at the past 18 months, the books of which that they were YA. Guess how many books were covered in YA in the last 18 months by this book group, the Radio 2 book group? 2. Just 2. One of them is actually on my shelf, if I can find it. No, there it is. I Give You the Sun. And the other one was Wolf by Wolf. There is more books in that book group that does the genre of crime than there is YA books. How is that possible? And I know this is a different thing, you've got to please everyone, but when you have more of adult, of genres within adult, than YA, and raising the issues of YA, that's problematic. Radio 4 has a book group. I haven't had a chance to research that because of this, but Radio 4 has a book group, but because Radio 4 target audience isn't in the people in their teens, I have a funny suspicion that that's not going to be covered. Radio 1 doesn't have a book group, I believe to my knowledge. If the Radio 1 has announced a few weeks ago that they are going to make a programming link to gaming, not a hard leap for Radio 1 to do a book for children's. And then we head on to local radio. Each local radio station is different. Some people are for it, some people are against it. So you have to find out your own for yourself. And then we deal with television. Yes, I know dramatisations do happen. And that's always a good thing. That's always a really good thing. However, didn't you remember a few years ago there used to be a slurry of book group programs? None of them exist anymore. And none of them tackle books, or books that in general YA, children's YA, and they don't talk about this discussion. Films will only do certain books if they know those books will make a profit. That is why when one film is really successful, or one book becomes incredibly successful, they will go after that film. So when Twilight became successful, they did a lot of forbidden love stories. So Twilight became huge. Harry Potter was hugely successful. Twilight became hugely successful. Divergent became hugely successful. Maze Runner became hugely successful. This program, Home for Peculiar Children, became hugely successful. And look, they all turn into best-selling movies. And when you go to, and there are other films that were made from books, such as Beautiful Creatures, such as Northern Lights / The Golden Compass. They turn them into films, expecting this huge hit, and then it fails. And as soon as it doesn't work, they're dropped. They're literally quickly push them, hide them away in cover. And then the internet. Now, the internet is one of the only few places that I think does tackle it. Well, I think it does, because we have BookTube, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, and it's great that we have this out there. But it feels to me incredibly naive when media outlets out there, other media outlets saying, well, we have the internet to do all that stuff. It's like, well, no, the internet is only one thing. You wouldn't, like, for example, if you're a company and you have to advertise a TV program or a product, you wouldn't just go, well, we'll just advertise it all on the internet. That's product suicide. You would do TV, you would do radio, you would do the internet, you would do word of mouth, you would do newspapers, you would cover everything. So why is it that when we're trying in this age to, we must protect our libraries, we must continue the passion of reading, we do that. Children's books and teen books are not treated the same way. Is it the fact that there's these people out there who still have this fundamental thought that, oh, little things to please little minds? Or is there another reason why the media is failing? I know I asked this a question going, is mainstream media failing? But I'm answering my own question as I rant about this and go, yes, it's failing, and my cat's behind my laptop, so I'm guessing this is a sign for me to stop my ranting. And nearly 8 minutes, wow. Anyway, comment down below. Do you feel that mainstream media is failing children's books and YA books in general? Do you think, if the answer is yes, no, if you want a counter argument, I really think we need a discussion about this. I think we need to have a real rant about this, because I think this is it. I think this is the interesting thing. It's about time we spoke and said, this is what we're passionate over. If we agree with it, if we don't agree with it. I mean, we're pretty smart people on the internet. I know there's some crazies out there, but we're pretty smart as a whole. So it'd be nice to actually hear your opinions. What do you think? So leave all your comments down below. I will put some links as well to some of the stuff that I found. Cover kids' books. I'll try and find that. I'll try and put links to the Radio 2 and Radio 4 book group. I think Loose Women has a book group now. Okay, I might be slightly wrong on that one as well. But yes, I'll put those links down below. I will hope you have a lovely day. I hope you keep reading. I am now drinking tea because I've got to finish one final book in a trilogy, and then I've got to start a second book, which is a final book in a trilogy. And then I think I've got a third over there. And all before the middle of April. Oh God, help me.